everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going lovely. I'm so glad you're joining me for another 5 easy step card tutorial. But today, my card project is actually for a blog hop. If you want to head on over, Simon Says Stamp is having a blog celebrating the 2025 holiday dies that coordinate with Tim Holtz stamps. We're going to make a Christmas card today using the stamps along with the new coordinating dies that Simon created to cut these fun images out. We're going to jump in and get started. First off, we're going to start off with step number 1 and create our focal image. We're going to be using this stamp set. It's a red rubber stamp set from Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz, and it's called Holiday Things. And I really like the stag in here, and then we have a little foliage with pine needles and some pine cones. So we're going to be stamping with these two today. And let's bring in some cardstock, and I'm just going to stamp with an acrylic block and also some of my Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to stamp 3 pine needles, one with each of these colors. So let's start with Rusty Hinge. We'll ink this up and then we will stamp this here. Lovely. I'm going to clean this off and then we'll go in with our next color, which is Rustic Wilderness. I think this is the perfect pine needle color. We will stamp this. We'll stamp this once. Lovely. And lastly, we have Uncharted Mariner. We'll ink this up and we'll stamp this also. Beautiful. For my stag, we're going to bring in Vintage Photo. And I'm hoping I have enough ink on here. I've had Vintage Photo for a very long time. But I think, as you all know, that Distress Oxides last forever. Let's stamp this guy down here on the bottom. Wonderful. I over-inked a little bit, but the coordinating dies will take care of that, which is great. Okay, after we have this done, there are pine cones on here, and I want to bring in a little bit more brown. To do that, I'm going to bring in a water brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my brown ink from the lid of my Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to go over those pine cones here. I'm going to take the coordinating dies and we're just going to cut out our pine needles and our Christmas stag here, and I'll be right back. These will be my focal images, so I'm going to put these to the side, and now we're going to work on step number 2, which is creating our home panel. My home panel today is going to be a shaker. So I'm going to take a piece of cardstock. This is Simon Says Stamps Sea Glass. It's a beautiful color. And then I'm going to take some circle dies, and I'm going to create a frame with this here. I will run this through my die cut machine and I'll be right back. While I was die cutting, I also die cut out 2 circles with some acetate using the largest circle die. Okay, we're going to make a shaker, which is really easy to do. I'm going to bring in some glue and we're just going to add it behind our frame here. And we will layer this right over the top. And then I'll flip this over, and then I'm going to put some thin foam strips around here. Now I only put 1 layer, but if you want to double up for a little more shake to your shaker, you can go ahead and do that. For my filling, I'm going to use some of my Ranger Distress mica flakes. I think these look like snow, and I think it would be a perfect place. We're going to add some of this pretty generously to our shaker window. To me, these mica flakes always look like ice, perfect for winter cards. Okay, once we have this, I'm going to give it a little shake, and then I'm going to take another piece of acetate that's the same size, and we're going to sandwich these together. I do want to mention this, if you do this, the mica flakes are like magnets to the acetate. You want to work fast because they all like to lift up and attach to the back piece that you're going to be adding. Okay, I am I'm going to use my scissors and just trim off anything that's overhanging. I placed that back so fast that I didn't get it quite centered, and that's okay. We just need to trim off the excess. And so we have it looks actually really like ice. Okay, we're going to take our focal image and add this to our shaker, which is our home panel. And we're going to just use some glue to attach these. I want a little dimension to my stag, so what I had did was die cut out some white foam, just using the die, and then we can add some glue right over the top. The nice thing about Simon Says Stamps dies is you can see the detail on the stag and in between the legs. Those little cutout pieces to me make a lot of difference with die cuts. I just think it makes it look nicer. Okay, so that will be my stag. We have a little dimension. We're going to add a little glue behind here. And we'll add this right over here to the side. So he's kind of overhanging a little bit. So now we have my focal image on my home panel, and we're going to move along to step number 3, which means we're going to create our greeting. We're going to go easy with our greeting, and I'm bringing in some of my easy strips. These are the Vintage Christmas easy strips. I already have some cut out, and I picked one that says Merry Christmas. It's a smaller one. This is actually meant to go with, well, let me show you. There's 4 in a pack, but if you cut out your easy strips using the coordinating die, you can cut out, have yourself a Merry Christmas, but I'm just going to use the Merry Christmas here. Okay, I put foam tape on one side, and then on the other side we're going to add a little glue. The side that has glue is going to be overlapping on my deer here. And that's all there is to my greeting. Now we're going to move along to step number 4, which means we're going to create our background. For my background today, we are bringing in another piece of acetate. And then I also have a stencil. Stencil here is called Merry Christmas Layering Stencil. It has a whole bunch of Merry Christmas on here. And I'm going to actually use some texture paste on acetate. If you want to go directly on some cardstock and skip the acetate, you do that. But I kind of like the shine that this is going to give. Just another layer of texture to my card. I'm going to flip this acetate around. This is actually a 3 3/4 inch piece of acetate. And I just want to make sure that I'm lined up here. Maybe I should tape it down. I'm going to use some Simon's very, very low tack tape here. And we're just going to tack it down on the back so it doesn't shift. And then I mentioned texture paste. I'm using the opaque matte texture paste from Ranger. And we're going to use a palette knife and just go over this stencil with a whole bunch of texture here. I think if you wanted to use vellum, you could do that too. But whenever you use texture paste on vellum, it has a tendency to curl. But eventually, when it dries, it will flatten out. Go over our Merry Christmas here. I think we got it all. Okay, let's lift it up. And we'll remove that tape, which is a great handle because we want edge to edge. I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to let this dry. But doesn't that look so neat? And then there is dimension with the texture paste. So you do have both here. Okay, I'm going to wash off my stencil and I'll be right back. Okay, I do want to mention that if you do add texture paste over acetate, it does take a little bit longer to dry. Usually texture paste dries pretty quickly on cardstock, but on acetate it takes a little bit longer. Mine is, I smeared it a little bit, but I think I can still work with it. But just remove that tape. just give it a little bit of time to dry if you do use acetate. Okay, I have a piece of cardstock that is just slightly larger than my acetate, and we're going to go ahead and adhere this to the front of our card base, which is a standard A2 size card. So the card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And I'm almost out of glue. No worries, I've been loving this glue. I have backup, no worries. Let's tack this down right in the middle. After we have this tacked down, I'm going to layer my acetate over my craft cardstock, and there's a little bit overhanging on the end. I may have to trim the bottom off just a little bit, but I'm just layering it here for now. And then I'm going to take my home panel again, which is the shaker, and then I'm going to add some glue behind here. And we're going to layer this. I'm going to offset it. I want this to overhang my card base just a little bit, so we're going to do a little trimming with this. I'm going to put it towards the bottom here. I will tack it down, and then once I have it positioned where I want it, then I can lift up my acetate piece, and then I can add some more glue behind here and attach the acetate. And then we'll just layer this right over the top. And now my acetate's adhered, and it's not going to go anywhere. I do have that little area that's overhanging. I'm just going to use my scissors, and I'm going to trim that away. And that's all there is to our background. Now we're going to move along to step number 5, and it's time to embellish. For my card today, we are going to embellish with some gold gems. I'm using just a few of my Spellbinders Color Essential Gems, and we're just going to add a little sparkle on that acetate. We put just a little bit over here and a little bit over here, and that's all I'm doing with the embellishing. And the mica flakes do shake a little bit, which looks like snow. And that will finish off my card today. I hope you get a chance to check out the blog hop going on right now. I'll leave a link down below. It's always nice to start at Simon's blog, because that way you don't miss anything. And I thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.